Who am I and what am I doing? My name is Vicki, and I am a compulsive overeater and an alcoholic, and I want to recover. And to that end, my job today is to trust God, clean house, and help others. So first, I want to invite you to go ahead and just take your place. Your place is right here, right now, wherever you are today. All right. So, lesson number 1 from Vicki's Kitchen is we are going to fry hamburger. Now, I know a lot of people may think that sounds very simple, and they've been doing it since their childhood, and that is great. But for anybody who maybe wants to learn a little twist on some of the classic ways, I'm offering up this video. For me, crumbled hamburger is probably my favorite protein of the week. I like to make it about 2 pounds at a time, and I keep it in my refrigerator, and it is super simple to weigh and measure when I am getting ready to meal prep or pack a lunch to go with me. It's cooked, it's ready to go. It can be eaten hot or it can be eaten cold. So why don't we begin there? All right, well, first things first, let's pick out a pan. Now, you would maybe think that I would be a complete dish snob. And once upon a time, I probably was. This is my Walmart Pioneer Woman giant frying pan. The reason that I have this is because I had one that was similar to it, and I burnt the heck out of it and had to throw it away. So just remember that when it comes to cooking, no matter how much expertise one thinks they might have, sometimes cooking doesn't always go the way it should. So we are going to just be kind to ourselves, and we are going to be kind to one another, and we're just going to try things. And it's okay if it doesn't go perfectly. So, all right. So we have our pan. Typically in cooking, that they say that you warm your pan before you add any oil to it. It's okay. We do want to put just a little bit of a coating on here. So I'm going to use my olive oil. I am also going to turn off my flame really quick. The olive oil spray. All right. And I'm keeping this at a pretty high heat. So we're going to let this warm up just a titch. And then I am grabbing my hamburger. So I'm an Aldi's girl. I do shop at Aldi's for almost everything. It's either Aldi's or Costco with a little bit of fill-in at either Minnesota Cub Foods or even Walmart. So I am using an 85-15 blend hamburger. This is almost 2.5 pounds. And that's what we are going to start with today. So we have our pan warm. If it's ice cold, it's fine. But there's some cooking science behind it. That's all I know. All right. We're going to just put it in there. I personally just like a nice flat spatula, and I'm going to chop it into just some bigger crumbles. And we're going to actually just let that sit for a few. So you can see that the meat is starting to brown on the bottom. So I'm going to go through and give it some more chopping and kind of flip it around, get it into some smaller pieces. You can hear that nice sizzle. And did you know that some of what that sizzle that you're hearing is the steam? It is the steam from the vegetable, or in this case, the protein, the meat, that we're listening to. So we are just going to get everything nice and brown and talk about the next step. So I'm holding on to my pan, and I'm just kind of chopping with plastic so as to not scratch my pan, whatever it might be. I do love using wood spatulas. I typically don't with raw meat that's cooking, but you can. I'm not here to endorse any particular health code violations, what's right, what's wrong. There's research as you can do about it. For me right now, I'm good to go with my flat. Some people like spoons, whatever works. All right. So we have the flame up just under high, one notch down from high. So it's up there pretty high. And as you can tell by the sound, it's just kind of a low simmer. So this is the time, we're not even maybe halfway through, but we're getting some brownness. So this is when I'm going to put in my salt. I love kosher salt. So as a compulsive overeater, when I was binging drive-through after drive-through after drive-through after sweet thing after sweet thing after sweet thing, hiding wrappers so that nobody knew, even though my weight was getting excessive and I was sleeping a lot because of food comas and things like that. Anyways, there's a lot of sodium that I no longer have in my diet for the past 2 years. So finding the right type of sodium for you, which isn't in excess, is a good thing. And also flavor in general. I personally prefer kosher salt over other salts when it comes to cooking. I will tell you this. Table salt, iodine salt, has dextrose in it, which is a food preservative, but it affects the brain as if it is a sweetener. So I highly recommend, if you are eliminating all sugar substances and sweeteners from your diet, do not use table salt. It's a preservative. It helps preserve the iodine that's in the salt. So it's nothing that someone's trying to pull over on you. It's just, that's one of the food preservatives that's used out there. All right. I am going to put about that much salt. I would say maybe 2 tablespoons for this 2 pounds. And now what's going to happen is, what happens with salt when we add it to almost anything that's steaming? Well, it's going to help the water evaporate, kind of like making a mummy in a pan. Okay, that's kind of gross, but you know what I'm saying. So now we haven't changed our temperature, but we are going through and we're just chopping into littler pieces, but we have the salt in there. And so what's going to happen is that steam is going to start evaporating all the faster. This hamburger, I find, is usually very lean, so we are not going to have to rinse it. Next, I am going to sprinkle in probably about a tablespoon of dry garlic powder. I love garlic. And then I have some dried minced onions. I am going to wait to add those until more of this moisture evaporates out. And I'm going to just pause this and then get you to see where you can start seeing the steam, the juice separating from the hamburger, which is just moisture and steam. Okay, so you can see that. And that is not all fat. It's easy to think like, oh my gosh, there's so much fat in there. It's just moisture. The salt helps pull that out. So like when you're roasting vegetables and things like that, which we will talk about and do some training on, it actually pulls out the moisture so that you have a nice crispness to the vegetable, the meat, the protein. So I am actually turning this up to high now. We have a little bit of pink left. We are, one thing I can't stand is nice gray cooked hamburger. So it may sound really weird, but the goal is to have a nice crispness to at least parts of your hamburger. We're not going to burn it, but do you ever watch those cooking shows and the southern ones where they're frying the sausage and they're moving it around and they're like, ooh, we're going to make gravy sauce with that. Like the little crunchy niblets that are left. We want to get some crunchy niblet to our hamburger. So for some people, maybe that's fine, but to me, the gray hamburger is like, I like the flavor, and the flavor comes from cooking it, and a little bit of that fat. Again, this is 95 85-15 hamburger. Yes, you can go 90% clean. Just use a little olive oil or olive oil spray. And if you get into a little jam, just steam it with a little extra water as you cook it down if it gets too dry. All right. Right now, can you hear that? How it sounds different? There's more of a crackly sound, a little less of a steaming cooking sound. That crackle is what we're waiting to get to. That is going to really add the flavor to the hamburger. I'm going to show you guys a little close-up. All right, so it's at this point that I am going to go ahead and add in our minced onions. I'll just measure by the capful, which is about a tablespoon. 1, 2, 3. I love onions. I love all the flavor. One benefit to just using the dry minced onion is that it kind of just absorbs whatever moisture is around it. So it can also help with that dehydration process of when it comes to hamburger. But when you're cooking with onion and you're starting from a raw onion, you would either cook the onion with this all the way from the beginning or separately. But you don't typically add raw onion like if this was going to be chili. I would still have cooked my onion partially if I was making soup or something like that. So it just all varies. Personal preference, tricks of the trade. All right, can you guys hear that now? Hear how it's like just a real crisp crackle? That's the sound of flavor. So we are not going to go too far away, but we are going to just let this go ahead and brown. It's hard to want to stop turning and stirring. Sometimes we just have to sit and be patient and wait. Now, my white pan is just starting to get some of the little brown, looks like, that it's sticking to it. That's normal. That's okay. So, and that also, as I kind of keep turning my pan because it's very big, and the hot spot on this burner is right here in the front. So I'm going to show you what's developing on the bottom of my pan. See that? All right. So with that, I'm going to add just a couple tablespoons of water. Put it right there on that hot spot. And I'm going to use my spatula to work that water. This is called deglazing. And we are pulling that nice flavoring off the bottom of the pan and moving it around onto the hamburger again. And it's just steam, it's water, it's a deglazing process. Once upon a time, I would have, some cooks will tell you use red wine or white wine or sherry or all the things. We use water. It's all good. And it re-steams out, but it gives you just some of this nice crackly brown yummy goodness on your hamburger. All right, you guys, that's kind of it. That is as simple as it gets. I'm going to bring the camera over again and show you how you can see that there is not a gray-brown essence of my hamburger, and that there's some nice crackly golden brown crustiness to parts of it, which just add a texture and flavor. So here we go. All All right. All right, so you guys, that's it. I just let it sit. I let it rest for a little, kind of maybe give it a toss as the steam continues to evaporate out. Burner is off. We're going to let it rest a little bit. And then it is ready to be portioned into your dinner, your lunches. It is ready to go when it's completely cool. You can put it in a container, and let's just say that your portion of protein for your lunch and your dinner was 4 ounces each. You've got a wonderful 4-ounce protein here. I really don't worry about taking into account the onion. You can barely even really see it. You'll taste it. So I am clear, honest, intentional on my scale. I did not add that much volume of onion where I need to reconfigure. So clear, honest, and intentional. 4 ounces of wonderful hamburger, great for taco salads, great for all of those types of things. In fact, if I were going to turn some of this into taco meat, I like to leave my whole thing of it just as hamburger. And then when I go to reheat it, say I do want to make some taco meat, I am going to weigh and measure my 4 ounces on my scale of hamburger. And then I am going to just go into my pantry and I am going to grab cumin. I am going to grab some chili powder and maybe a little more garlic because, right? And I'm going to add a little bit of water to this, and I'm going to toss that around gently, and then I'm going to microwave it when I reheat food, I usually don't use 100%. I would do like 60 seconds at like 70%. Anyways, just heat it up low and slow and give it a toss, and you have taco meat. You want something that's a little bit more on the Chinese food spectrum. I love Chinese 5-spice. A little of this goes a long way, but making something taste like an egg roll bowl, there's a lot of great recipes out there. Sprinkle just a little bit of this on your hamburger and give it a toss as you reheat it. So it gives you lots of options without having to do the whole batch in one particular flavor. So, all right. Well, thank you for watching. Please feel free to leave any comments in the conversation below. Hit subscribe and follow me as we trudge this road of happy destiny of abstinent eating. Thank you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.